from wherever you are. Welcome to Let's Play Games. I'm John McFarland, Adult Services Librarian for National Public Libraries, and I hope you'll join me in learning or rediscovering some of the more common and uncommon games out there. This time, we're going racing. We're going to be doing one of the classic racing card games that is fast-paced and filled with wrecks. Bourne. Let's get stuck in. So as I mentioned, this is a fast-paced card game, and everything is pretty simple. We've got a wide array of cards here, and I'm just going to go ahead and take these. I've got them somewhere here. Perfect. We've got small cards right here that actually are handy reminders for those playing. And as per any card game, I'm always going to suggest you shuffle, but I want to take you through the cards first because this is all about reaching 1,000 miles. And you do this through cards. There are different cards for the different mileages that you can cross. And the purpose of this game is to hit 1,000 miles, mille, as quickly as possible before your opponents. Now, this will be a lightning-paced game. Once you figure out the hang of it, it's pretty easy to pick up. But each player is determined by their ability to drive or not drive based on the cards applied to them. So we've got these red ones right here. We've got stop signs, speed limits, driving, and some restitution cards is what I'll call them. So as we hand these cards out, they'll be dealt to players face down. Everything will be held in secret. And in order to start, you have to have one of these drive cards, which means that if you don't have one of these, you're stuck in neutral. What will be happening is you'll be playing a mix of cards to allow you to drive, playing cards for mileage to get closer and closer and closer to that 1,000. Also, when you can, stall your opponents. There's a couple ways to do this. So first off, the easiest one, the stop card. If you have somebody who is in drive, you can stop them. They cannot play a single mileage card until they have another drive card. They've also got the out of gas card. Each of these cards reflects a particular type of stalling that would happen over the course of a race. This is very traditional for motor racing in the early 20th century. The good news is there's a way to fix it. The gas card. So if somebody plays an out of gas card for you, you play gas, and that gets you back going again, and you can start playing down mileage cards on your turn again. There's also the accident card. Accidents are fairly common in motor racing. The easiest way to fix this is the repairs card. So each has their own corresponding repair. Flat tire, spare tire. This one's the fun one for me. The speed limit card. So it doesn't stop you, but it does mean that you cannot play any of these higher mileage cards. So we've got the 200, 100, and 75, and you see on the speed limit, it has 50. So you can play 25s and 50s all live long day, but that isn't very quick. And the easiest restitution is the end of speed limit, when you can start playing whatever high value cards you want, with an exception that I'll get to in a moment. Lastly, I want to talk about these cards, these special green tint. They are worth a little bit more, and they're also a lovely card to have handy for the moment that you're going to inevitably need them. Because each of these cards counters one of the various issues, so they're called safety cards. Now, I talked about the spare tire and flat tire. Well, this one is puncture proof, which means that no one will be able to play the flat tire card against you because it won't work. It's as though your vehicle has these puncture-proof tires. The driving ace prevents the accident cards. The fuel truck prevents the gas mileage. And this is one of the best cards, the emergency vehicle. It prevents all stops and speed limits. So having these cards handy are ways in which you can successfully counter and wait for the right opportunity, because you can play these at any point. You can only play one of these, so you have to be careful about what you choose. But if you, let's say somebody puts a stop sign or a speed limit and you have this emergency vehicle card, you can play it immediately. And I want you to notice there are some numbers on here. There's the 100 and the 200. If you play it over the course of your hand and you play it just as your normal play, it is worth 100 miles. However, if somebody hits you with a speed limit and then you have this card in your hand, you can immediately play this card. You're going to place it to the side. Notice how it'll be now facing up. It is now worth 200 miles. So this game is all about timing. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, like any good card game, we're always going to shuffle. And as I always do, I want to make sure that you know how to shuffle, and you can usually divide this up among other people. It's a rather thick deck compared to what we're used to. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to be ambitious and we'll see how well it works. So you're going to take it into two separate sections. This is called cutting the deck. And you're going to hold it on this little apex here, and I've got it held by the thumbs. And we're just going to let some cards slowly go. This is harder with a larger size deck, but you are able to slowly make it work. So usually it's more efficient with, especially if you're playing with multiple people, be able to hand it out among multiple players, shuffle it, pass it around, so that way it can move faster and be a family involved process or friend involved process, depending on who you're playing with. So just 1 second. I want to go ahead and make sure these are properly shuffled, and we'll talk about the deal and the first couple of turns as we get going in the race. So a little bit about the inspiration behind this style of game. Racing has always been a consistent part of sport and competition throughout human history. But with motor vehicles, it's been a slowly evolving thing. Now we are familiar with Formula One and NASCAR and various other racing competitions all throughout the world. But in the early 20th century, things were a little chaotic. There would be special competitions that would be known as Grand Prix. That would be a special competition that would be the apex of whatever location you were at. That's why now all of the Formula One races are known as Grand Prix. So we'll have Monaco, or the German Grand Prix would be at a particular track. They had to figure this out over time as to what races would have that level of prominence, and these were high production values. But what it usually meant is that these tracks were huge, miles, which usually meant that they were long distance races. But more about some of these races in a bit. So I've got these shuffled. Let's deal. For this demonstration, I'm going to have 3 players rather than 4. It'll make the game move a little faster and a little more chaotic. So for this deck, now it's been shuffled, like I said, it's going to be handed face down. We'll obviously paste them face up. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there's only going to be 6 cards. I'm going to go ahead and place one face up here. This will be important. Now, I'm going to go ahead and outline these, so that way this will be the hand, and whenever somebody scores, I'll put it in front here for a little bit of ease of visual. And like I said earlier, the drive card is one of the more important ones because you need that in order to even start. So, and notice that I dealt, but historically, part of the fun of this game, it's supposed to be a casual game, however fast-paced, but it does mean that we have a little bit of different ways than we normally do it. You can just put the left of the dealer, which is traditional in Western style card games. It goes in a clockwise fashion. The rules actually have it that the youngest player starts first, but for simplicity, we'll just have it be this. So they've got a spare tire. They've got a 25, a 50, 100, and 2 drive cards. So in order to even start, they will have to figure out what they're doing. We're going to have them have the option to do one of 2 things. Either they can draw a card, or they can pick one up here. That is a 25-mile card. And for this, no real incentive to do so, so they're going to draw. They're going to play a card of any sort, and that'll be that drive card. So one of the catches here is that once you draw this card, if you cannot play a card, you actually must discard. You can never have more after drawing and discarding than 6 cards in your hand, so there's no hoarding here. This is also a very strategic thing, because now what do you discard? Let's say you have a 25-mile card and you're hundreds of miles away from the 1,000 goal. You don't have necessary use for that. You know one's discarded here, so you're not losing much. But let's say you're at the end of the game and you're sitting at 975. That card might come into play. It's all about the course of the game. So now that they have the drive, they can play a mileage card on their next turn. Over here, we've got, we'll go ahead and draw for them. They've got a stop card, they've got a drive card, they've got a speed limit card, which they could apply, and they've got mileage cards of their own. So now you have the decision making, and this is where the game gets quickly moving on, where you decide, okay, am I going to start on my end, being able to count mileage? Am I going to try and prevent this person from playing cards? Typically at the beginning of this game, it's just easier to play the drive card. The repairs card, they've got a gas and a repairs remedy card. They're going to try and keep this. They actually have 3 of the remedy cards. Nobody has the big fancy ones yet. We'll probably see those eventually. So everyone's going to play it safe and do that drive card. And play will now continue with some decision making. That repairs card is going to be valuable. You're going to hold on to that. So for them, they're going to play this 100-mile card. They have now gotten a 10th of the way there. One special caveat about this 200s card. You're limited in how many cards you can actually play. Of the 200 variety, you can only play 2 per game. So that can also go into your decision making of if you know you're sitting at 900 miles, but you have a 200 in your hand, but this person's at 800, you have to try and hold on to it for as long as possible, because that means you would instantly lose. So we will continue on. They've got another drive card here. They're going to play their 100. No reason to upset the apple cart too much yet. This person will play their 200. Notice how this game will speed up quickly. And from here, you're going to just start making some decisions as to what to play. So they'll play the 50. That brings them up to 150. The flat tire card, which can technically be helpful. But let's say they decide to use this 75. And then here's this out of gas. So now you look, I'm at 200. They're sitting at 150. They're sitting at 175. So let's say they decide to just keep going for now. As you get towards the notion of running out of those mileage cards that I talked about, then you have to start considering what to do. This person's sitting at 250, so they're going to go ahead and play this stop card. So what you would do is you would hand it to the player, and now they cannot move until they play one of these fancy drive cards. But until that point, they're stuck, which means they're still able to draw, but they would be limited to only playing, or if they can't drive, they will have to discard into this pile. So we'll go ahead and draw for them. They're going to get that card, and then they're going to hit that drive card back. It'll just be a simple stack. And notice that will create a nice little pile. What'll happen is once you get to the end of this deck, you'll grab some of those cards, except for any of the special remedy prevention cards and the mileage cards. Shuffle it up and keep going. I'll take a step back because there's a little bit more about the history of racing and racing style games. So I promised to talk a little bit more about the history of racing. As we got into the mid-20th century, especially after the World Wars, things really took off with competitive motor vehicle racing of various types. But they started getting organized and having regulations. Part of the biggest regulation was what kind of car could you bring to a race? What style of racing were you going to be doing? For these long races, they could be upwards of 24 hours or even longer, where you're going on a particular track with particular types of hazards. And over the course of a race, they were very experimental cars in the early years of motor racing, which meant that things broke down. There were accidents. People ran out of gas. People had their tires flattened. So there would be multiple pit stops along the way to repair various issues with the car, or if an accident was serious enough or the gas was serious enough, they couldn't continue in the race. So this is directly inspired by that history of motor racing where the mileage could go up and up and up. So let's pick up where we left off. We've got this person drawing. They're starting to get some of these. They're seeing that one of the people is getting a little far ahead, so they're going to play this speed limit card. Notice that they do not have any of the cards, and they could pick up this 25, but they decided against it. It's easier to stop this person. So notice they have this 50-mile card here. They can still play that, but they're going to do their drawing as per normal, and they'll go ahead and play their 50 cards. And they will not be able to exceed it until they have the end of speed limit card that the second player has. So notice how this gets rather competitive and rather fast-paced fairly quickly. They'll use this offensive card here, and we'll use it on them. They are now in the out of gas condition until they can play something that has gas on it. But they don't have that, which sucks. And they drew the spare tire. They have to try and play something. You are allowed to play an offensive card if you wish, but that is just simply dealing with the circumstances of waiting to try and get a mileage card or a gas card to be able to hold things together. So they'll play this flat tire card on this person, and they actually drew a spare tire card, so they can immediately play that. So play will continue fairly quickly. This is that gas card this person needs, but they have no reason to necessarily have two repairs cards, so they will actually discard that. It goes on top of the pile. For this point now, the decision is about whether you take this repairs card or you take something drawn from the pile. And yes, you can revert back as much as needed. So they were lucky enough to actually draw a gas card, so they'll play that. And play will continue on fairly quickly now. They've got 3 gas cards here. and they'll go ahead and play the out of gas card. So yes, you can absolutely go after one person as much as you like. Just know that that means they'll probably be coming after you as well. Oh, I'll go ahead and play this 25 card here. That accident card's good for when you need it. Drive card is only so helpful when you don't have gas, so they will discard that. This person has a drive, no mileage cards, so they'll use the stop card over there. This is where things become a little chaotic over the course of the game. You will be continuously finding ways to stall your opponent and finding ways to get out of those stalled in order to find some way to get all the way to 1,000 miles. So I moved a little bit further on in the game. Things got, again, a little more chaotic. We have the dealer who is now not only speed limited, but in an accident. Thankfully, they've got repair cards. But I'm going to focus on player number 3 over here, which just drew this puncture-proof card. Now, this is where you want to think about some decision-making. Eventually, someone is probably going to play the flat tire card on you. So, here's the question. Do you play this, or do you wait? I would recommend waiting until the right moment. Why? It's worth 200. So right now, this person's sitting at 200, 300, 425 miles. Let's say they get to 800 miles or even 850. You can go over, you don't have to hit 1,000 exactly. That 200 can get you all the way there. So, good opportunity to wait, see what happens. In the meantime, while they're holding on to this card, they're going to take the speed limit card, place it over here, and they're going to go ahead and actually draw the fuel truck card as well, so they're going to be prevented from any sort of gas issues. They're going to have repairs. They're still under the speed limit, but they've at least got the ability to go again, which is nice when they start drawing some of these cards. They get lucky and get the emergency vehicle. This one is the most important because it prevents not only the speed limit, but the stop. And it's increasingly likely to happen over the course of time. So now I've got to decide what to get rid of. And you can actually get rid of, if you want to be this bold, that drive card. Why? There's already one in the discard pile. And you know that when somebody tries to put a stop or a speed limit on you, that it is going to be fixed. Now notice they already have a speed limit card over here. So in the meantime, they can still at least play this and hold on to it for the inevitable next time something's going to be played on them. I've got another speed limit here. Obviously not going to play it against themselves. No cards to play. They'll go, okay, we'll do this. They'll play the speed limit, and it is at this point where you go, not so fast, my friends. You'll place it in front, you place it to the side like that, and we'll just go ahead and move the speed limit to the, we'll put it at the bottom because of the way that it was played. So now that is 200 miles to their total, so that's 200, 300, 400, 500, 575, 600, 650. They now will be able to play cards a little more generously than they had before. And they get to draw another card as they played this, so that way they keep that 6 total and we don't go under. But hey, now they know they can discard this drive with no problem. So a little bit more as we get to the current version of how we have a lot of racing. This is a French game, actually, that was translated and became fairly popular, but it deals with a lot of that traditional way of racing before it became a little bit more regulated and formalized. You will still be able to find 24-hour races, multi-hour races, multi-driver races along these very large tracks like the 24-hour Le Mans. It is some of the most prestigious competitions out there, but they all take their inspiration from games like this. So let's continue on. This is once again where you really start to see how things can escalate fairly quickly in a game like this. So the accident card can still be played because the accident card is only countered by the driving ace. So you can actually still get them stuck. That's why it's so good to have certain things just ready and able to be played. They now know that the fuel truck card is in their hand. They just drew the out of gas card. Hey, I know that this person can now be placed out of gas, and there's no way I'm losing out on that. So this person will have 25, but because of the accident, they can't move. Thankfully, they have that repairs card. So knowing what cards you have in your hand is going to be part of the key element of making this game go. They're going to stop this person here because you can still be plenty offensive while you're waiting for this. They finally drew a 50 card, but since they're stopped, they can be made to drive again. This person drew 50. They're all good to go. They can play that. So eventually you would get to the point where you know that you can't do certain things with other people. They're still out of gas, so they'll discard one of these drives. They know they have one handy. Look at this 75. They can't play it still because they have yet to draw the end of speed limit card, but they can keep playing this 50, that's for sure. So move this out of the way. 75, they're still good to go. 50, they're still waiting on gas. Now is sometimes where you have to make the decision of what do you want to keep in your hand? What do you want to be aware of potentially happening? Accident cards can be out there. You can play this at any point, so it'll count towards 100, but you will lose out on those 200 and the flat tire issues. So I think they're going to go ahead and discard the spare tire because they now can have at least a counter card for it, which will be good. Funnily enough, they drew a speed limit card. They know they can't play it here, so they can play it here. You can make multiple things happen at once, especially with that speed limit card. So now you're starting to get a little chaotic here, but that's half the fun. This person's already kind of stuck, whereas they're not. The flat tire here. They also know that this is a nice little card that they can use to get them stopped because of the knowing that puncture-proof card is in their hand. Now here's where you start getting towards a little bit of complexity, where they're stopped. There's only so much they can do, so they're just going to have to discard, and the other players know it. The spare tire counts the flat tire. Now they're kind of stuck again. They're still really waiting on that gas card to come in. So you can go throughout this game and be waiting on a particular card. So it's all about the elements of discard. So we'll take a look at where it's at now. That's 200, 300, 400, 500. That's 150, so 650, 750, 775 over here. This person's probably in the lead. 200, 300, 425, 200, 300, 400, 450. So play will continue on and on like this until somebody reaches that magical 1000 and the game will immediately end. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Join us next time as we cover yet another game in this series, and be sure to check out National Public Library's board game collection. You can actually place holds on popular games like this and many others, including ones we've covered previously. Also, make sure to check out some of the great NPL Universe content on this YouTube page. You'll find a playlist of all the previous Let's Play episodes, as well as story times, community groups, and author talks. I'll see you next time.